Jimpa Jabon de Vakamoju. Lana Meva Lada Melange de Sanjay Jimde. Bejawa Shaja Tubama Chasen or Children Jazuchu. Dumba then the Geshe Van Rajuma Yanda. Zobe Sanjay Rivada Shazun de Devarisha. Jidin Jimba Jibon de Vakaloju, Lana Tada Melange de Sanjay Jumden de Bejo. Shaja Tubama Chasen or Children Jazuchu. Dumba Junen then the Geshe Van Rajuma Yanda. Zobe Sanjay Rivada Shazun de Devarisha. Jidin Jimba Jibon de Vakaloju, Lana Tada Melange de Sanjay Jumden de Bejo. Shaja Tubala Chasen or Children Jazuchu. Kanze Kanya Zowa Jadams. Sajan Dena Kumba, Deborah, Manage Dent, and no choices. Tezegava Jana Chas and Namda Koma Jodosusa. Ishajazo Sejan Humbo, Chava Jedus, and Lama. Gumbo Jonia Jana Chas and Senjo de Majimenda. Sando Java Jana Chas and Dureja Siva Suma. Yame Chenja Jana Chas and Gumbo Tuche and Batam Jimbe. Sonominio de Jazuja, the Shala Charles and Tagan de Surgery. Giving as only to Chichu, the majority of Shigiri Jala Charles. Trenatura Maya de Lavatala, the Shiga Tamaya, Gindelaya Charles and Divachi and Mrs. Gawapas also. Rangazim Yoso de Tennis and Jetapaya Karmara, Milano Agenda for the Judgment de Sonam Dia Tamjesi. Commandant Negenda did the Gadana, the Chivella, Siva Solendo, one Jovarisho.
To the teacher and the blessed one, the one gone beyond,
the
full destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and good conduct, Sugata, no other word, supreme guide of beings to be gained, teacher of gods and humans, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the blessed one, the glorious conqueror, the subdue upon the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the teacher, the blessed one, the one gone beyond, the full destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and good conduct, Sugata, no other word, supreme guide of beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the blessed one, the glorious conqueror, the subdue upon the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the teacher, the blessed one, the one gone beyond, the full destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, no other word, supreme guide of beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the blessed one, the glorious conqueror, the subdue upon the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. When, O supreme among humans, you are born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides, then said, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise, then I prostrate. With the pure body's form, supremely pure, wisdom ocean like golden mountains, flame that blazes in the 3 worlds, we know the best, to you I prostrate. With the supreme signs, face like spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. You are immaculate, the 3 worlds are now, incomparably wise one, to you I prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, the teacher having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean, to you, the one gone to thusness, I prostrate. The purity which makes one free from attachment, the virtue which frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime pure reality, to that Dharma which pacifies, I prostrate. Those who are liberated and also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you, the sublime community containing virtue, I prostrate. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions, subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, mirage, a flame of a lamp, illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning or cloud, see conditioned things as such. Through these merits, may sentient beings attain rank of all seeing, subdue the four forms, and be delivered from motion of suffering, of aging, sickness, and death.
Sanje Jala Zoje Jala Chaju Bado Dante Jazu Nagin Jaso Jeba Sonam Jin Rola Pinja Sanje Jubush Sanje Jala Zoje Jala Chaju Bado Dante Jazu Nagin Jaso Jeba Sonam Jin Rola Pinja Sanje Jubush Sanje Jala Zoje Jala Chaju Bado Dante Jazu Shea Nagin Jaso Jeba Sonam Jin Rola Pinja Sanje Jubush Sanje Jala Zoje Jala Chaju Bado Dante Jazu Nagin Jaso Jeba Sonam Jin Rola Pinja Sanje Jubush
I go for refuge and am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and Sangha. Through the merit I create by practicing giving and the other professions, may I quickly attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge and am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and Sangha. Through the merit I create by practicing giving and the other professions, may I quickly attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and Sangha. Through the merit I create by practicing giving and the other professions, may I quickly attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings.
Dana Geshe Vejira Manjamanya Zimejira Manjamanya Zimaka Yubamanya Manjamanya Zimaba Kanga Tomamu Nanda Jiranya Tata Yawalan Bagaji, the Zebana Javase, Nada Yumbo Sebata, Neda Yumbo Tata Jabani, Tomani Jagabu, Navaji, Nameja, Sanjanam Jadana, Namaka Meja, Jabasa, Simbi Majaba the Mangaba, Chunian Yagada, Tamja Yanda Yanda Mimi, Yanda Mia, then the Sanja Jetamo, Chanel Jaban, Nanda Medenta de Me, then the Yatin, Kama de la Tin the Regent, Tele Shama, Major the Judgment, Sanja Jetam, Jetemba to the Tunjama Yata de Mechava Manyato, Sanja, Yadana Jesebana, Razanji, and the Temba Medal. Dada Juya da Vasheja Bara Duja, Jodia, Kangia, Dona, Jinja, Umeno de Duja, Soja Sumami, Sanjeta, Charles. Yeah, so let me read the root text, reason 60 from the beginning. I bow to the Lord of Sage, who proclaimed the relativities, the way by which he abandoned the real creation and destructions. So the praises to the Buddha from understanding of the dependent originations, or showing the path of the middle way, which is free from two extreme. And number one, those whose intellect transcend being and nothing and does not dwell between, realize the meaning of the condition, which is profound and non-perceived. So now this was particularly, specifically talking about, trying to point out the actual, the nature of the emptiness. Nature of the emptiness is something that is beyond the conventional understanding of existing and non-existence. So beyond conventional existent and non-existent means it is, it is free from, intrinsic existence. It's free from nothingness. So which means, that emptiness, the nature of the emptiness is just,
the nature of the emptiness itself is just a space that is, kind of subjective experience, with, subjectively experience that space, emptiness, free from, intrinsic existence and non-existence. So which means that nature of the emptiness is still no different from, it is not apart from relatively existence. Right? So it is in the space, but it is connected to the land, the relativities. So because it is free from intrinsic existence, therefore it is not solid and concrete, any imaginable or conceivable object. But it is no different from, or it's not apart from, the conventional relativities. So therefore, the nature of the emptiness is mere negation of intrinsic property, but at the same time, it is no different from conventional reality. Is it relatively existing, therefore, objectively not exists, right? Is it just because it's relatively existing, therefore it is not intrinsically exists, it is not inherently exist, because the existing of the thing is relatively, therefore, not intrinsically exists. So that absence of intrinsic existence is like unperceptible or unimaginable, right? It is not presented to be knowable object, as through imagining. It is not posited to be existing, not through conceptualizations. So, and then number 2 is this, you who have eliminated nihilism's source of all ills, now is the benefit of that emptiness. Number 2 is talking about the benefit of the emptiness. So benefit of the emptiness, you who have eliminated the nihilisms, by eliminating the nihilisms, because that nihilism is the source of illness, source of downfall, or source of all the negativities. Nihilism, through the nihilisms, there is annihilating cause and effect, the law in cause and effect, by annihilating previous life and next life, annihilating existing with the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. So therefore, the nihilism is the source of all, all ills, all negatives. So that emptiness is free from that nihilisms. And then another benefit is, should attain to the reason why absolutism must be rejected as well. So, that the emptiness, which is, emptiness that is the mere absence of intrinsic existence, that also negates the absolutisms, concreteness, substantial, So by kind of, refuting the absolutisms or objectivities or inherent existence, so that, because usually the, through the, by conceiving or the grasping anything that is intrinsic, solid, and concrete, it feeds the negative emotions. So what feeds the negative emotions is the, the grasping at the self of phenomena, like grasping the self of body, grasping itself of feeling, grasping itself of perceptions, you know. So when we say the grasping itself of perceptions means, you know, grasping the self-existing of what you see as a color. The grasping the self-existing or, you know, self-existing of the eye consciousness. The grasping the self-existing of the sense faculties. So there is no self in sense faculty, no self, you know, with the object that you see through the eye consciousness. So no self at all. Yeah, I think what does that mean is the things that you see with eye has no self, and that not exist, color that not exist by itself. Therefore, the self is empty in the color form. Self empty with sound, smell, taste, textures, because all sensory objects do not exist by themselves, do not have any essence from its own to identify itself, to be formed by itself. The color do not form by itself, right? So the sound do not form by itself, smell do not form by itself. So, and then if the color, sound, smell, taste, textures, you know, never formed by itself or by its own essence, and what we are seeing, what we are smelling, what we're hearing, so then it says, things that you see, smell, hear are like, you know, it's the creations. And the creations means now it's like existing like magical, magicianal illusions. It is like a reflection, like existence. So therefore, yes, it exists, you know, in the context of, you know, the context of space, light, sense power, consciousness, and there is a color to see. So in that context, it exists. It seems to be existing, you know. So because it relatively exists, because many things together make it to be existing, therefore, you know, color itself do not form by itself. So then there are, that's the kind of, you know, if existing of the color by itself, existing of color by its own essence is called absolutism. That does not exist. You know. So if things were, now number 3 is say with argument, saying that if things were really true as the naive or childish beings construe them. So what if, you know, you know, color do exist truly as you see it, you know, as you perceive it, then why not accept their nothingness as a liberations? So I think another word is, if everything that you see, smell, hear, feel, and you conceive and imagine is all truly exists as it appears to you, as it perceived by you, then it says, why do you need noble path? So you are, you know, noble being. You are enlightened being. You are the perfect being. You know, why is there something that you need to change yourself? Why there's something that you think you need to improve? Because the truth is always what you see. So number 4 is saying that if you cannot liberate through the absolutisms, not escape this existence through the nihilisms. So great souls are liberated by fully understanding being and nothingness. So now the question is saying that because the things that you see through your eye is not truly exist, you cannot see things. You do not understand the object that you see. You do not understand the sound that you hear. You do not understand the existing nature of smell and taste and textures. You do not understand the very nature of what you believe in the law and cause and effect. You do not understand the relation that you conceptually constructed. The very nature of that you do not understand. Therefore, you need another wisdom. You need noble eye, right? Otherwise, what is need for finding the path to the liberations? So then it says, if you cannot liberate through the absolutisms, so now saying that, true extreme is like, true extreme like is, if you cannot free from one, you cannot free from both. If you're not, if you are not free from absolutism, you are also not free from nihilisms. If you're not free from nihilisms, you are also not free from the absolutisms. So why? Because once you think something that is absolute, which means you are already deny, you have already denied something that is really there. Because when you say, so for example, non-Buddhist schools, what is the absolute is the Bhagavan or the Creator. Other than that is, so there's in the Samkhya school, they are saying that, if there, the God or the Creator is the absolute. Other than that, everything is like what do you call it? Stuff. The animal skin, we put the grass inside. So it looks like, this looks like tiger, looks like a lion, looks like a bear. So this, other than God, everything is like stuff. So there's no essence. They don't have any control. They don't have any freedom. They don't have any soul in it. So that because of the absolutism, the Creator is existing, that gives from there there is the soul in the trees, flower, human beings, everything is all reflect from the creators. So the other than the creators, everything is just what do you call funerals, pointless. So and then and within the Buddhist school, and so because they find like mind-only school, and they had says, the emptiness of the mind is the absolute. So because it is absolute, because that is absolute, and what is that emptiness? The empty or the duality of the subject and object. So when they claim it is the absolute, therefore they deny the external reality. So, and another another thing in Sodhatic school, what is the absolute? So then it says, absolute means truly existing. Truly existing means essential, substantial. Anything that born from the cause and the condition is absolute. And other than that, like the imaginations, the concept of relations, and space is soulless, pointless. Because you find something is absolute existing, and that means you also already have annihilate something, in some kind of reality. So this is why they're saying, if you cannot liberate through the absolutisms, nor escape this existence through the nihilisms, and then says, and who has, freed himself from the both extreme, the great soul, like liberated being, the Arhats and the Buddha, by fully understanding what is existing, what is not existing. So I think here some existence and non-existence. So this is also kind of, for example, here the existence for the mind, for the Sodhantika school, Vaibhashika school, I think pretty much the mind-only school. This is what is existence means. Existence means something that exists now. At the present is existence. Other than that, the past and the futures are non-existence. So which means for them, existence means now, in the present. So the future and the past is non-existing for them. So now, if you think that now or the present is existing and the past and the future does not exist, so how do you define the present or the now? So if you are thinking about, your concept, you're conceiving of, how's that? When you conceive today is the Friday. Friday is now, right? So in the whole parts of the Friday, and every part of the Friday seems to be existing in the now, in the present. So morning of the Friday is in the present, evening of the Friday is the present, and the noon, of course, it is present. So then we say, how if I expand more, I make now in more bigger, present week, and how many days in there? Everything is in the present. If I expand more, a present month, so 30 days in there. All 30 days are in that present. So there is no 30 days among the 30 days which is past and the future. So if you expand more, and the year, present year, and how many months, how many days, 360, 65 was the days. So you say, if you, from the day, yesterday and tomorrow is non-existing, but in the week of that, now they come to, they come back to in the category of the present. Now last week and next week is past and the futures, therefore is non-existing. If I expand, make the month as a noun, now or present, and then those past week and past week and the future week comes back. So how can you say that this is the absolute? So sometimes the past is non-existing, sometimes past is in the now, so in the present, so therefore it existing. So this is like once the mind is stuck with absolutisms, which means that mind is also, false nihilism with relation to another reality. So like when there's the anger, which means, the reason you are angry with something because you have attached to something else. If you don't have any attachment to something, you cannot detach to anything. So the anger and attachment is also, couple, they cannot take divorce. So it seems like opposite, but it's always, how's that? The cooperative, always mutually benefiting, mutually, sustain each other. When there's attachment, there must be anger. When there's anger, there must be attachment. So, so this is why this says, as long as you are false in the absolutisms, you are not free from nihilism. The great soul, like liberated being in Buddha, they're free from both. So therefore, they understands the being and nothing is. They understand existence and non-existence. So existence, how do they understand existence? Anything that is relatively, conceivable, anything that relatively, perceptible, anything that relatively, seeable, and, for listening, for smell, it tastes, anything relatively, something that comes to the mind, to experience, to conceive, to be imagined, to be a knowable object, that is existence. So the past, future exists as present existing. And then the past and the future is also not intrinsically exists as the present, which is not intrinsically existing. So equally, everything is relatively existing, therefore equally not exists intrinsically by their own essence. So this is what liberated being understands. This is the reason, so those arhats and the Buddhas are free from two extreme. So number 5, saying that those who do not see the reality presume duality of this life cycle and nirvana. So then, with this absolutisms, the mind that's still, associated, underpinned with absolutism and nihilisms, but they still try to understand what is the liberations. They still have the desire to attain the liberations. So their, understanding their liberations and samsara is, based on the presumptions. It's not based on understanding. So second, existing is based on the presumptions, and liberation is also in the presumptions. The great presume the duality in the nirvana. Those who do see the reality do not presume either life cycle or nirvanas. One who sees the dependent originations one who sees directly the dependent originations, do not presume the existing of the cyclic existence and nirvana, because they perfectly understand what cyclic existence means, and they also understands exactly what is the liberation means. It's not based on presumption. So, and number 6, of the two, cyclic existence and nirvana, of the two, existing and nirvana are neither known to exist intrinsically. The full understanding of existing is what is called nirvana. So now this is saying that of the two, so then what is the cyclic existence? What is the nirvana? So then says cyclic existence means an actual kind of cycle, the cycle of life. There is no one such life which is cycling, right? Not this life, not past life, not in the future life is cycling. If each of the life is not cycling, each of the aggregates not cycling, each of the perceptions are not cycling, and what is the cyclic existence? So, the cyclic existence means, the mind with this mind which do not understand the true truth, the ultimate truth, conventional truth. So mind that is always, mind that could not see things beyond the conventional realities. If there is a truth, it has to be within what I see, within what I hear, what I smell, So I could not see things beyond my conventional perceptions. So that is the conventional cyclic existence. And what is nirvana? So then nirvana, that which understands the cyclic existence as it is. So then there is no appearance of the cycling. So in the mind, right now, I think, for example, when we talk about many lives, past life, present life, future life, so because we think, because we have this language, life after life, So from the karma, give rise one life, and that continues to take another life, and then another life. So now this is, if someone who do not understand the dependent origination or self-dependent originations, they think in that continuity there's a one thing that are constantly repeating. So that that they see it, because they only think they're trying to get the meaning of the cycle existing. They only thing they can understand is from the language. So language gives you the language is projecting some kind of misguide you or mislead you. There's continuities. You're going to born again and again. It means there is the one you as one single entity that is repeatedly happening. Taking new body, So language only gives you this kind of pictures. So you do not understand, therefore you ask the language give this picture, then you just assume, what language has, projected for you. So that means cyclic existence means, if you do not understand the, dependent originations, if you don't understand absence of intrinsic existence, you think there's one thing, the one thing, entity, which is there, it is part of me that is repeatedly happening. So if something is repeatedly coming back and back, how many times you die, means, so the die is always in the body, not in the eye. So that's the kind of saying that, so if you do not, one who do not understands the absence of intrinsic existence, that mind's in cyclic existence. One that understands the absence of intrinsic existence. So there are, in the process of, getting freedom from the cyclic existence. So the cyclic existence is, samsara and then nirvana. And at one point, samsara and nirvana is, it just, exists within the mind. And it's existing in the way of the mind engaging on object, way you perceive things. Yeah, sometimes it makes sense when in the Hindi language, in the Indian language or Hindi language. So right now we in English we says Dharma teachings, right? We are going to have Dharma teachings, or there is a Dharma teaching from Nagarjunas, and then Dharma teaching and the dharmas. And what is Dharma? And Dharma is the identity of the things that is conceptually constructed. So that kind of, Dharma teachings means, and how do you really, what comes in your mind when you say Dharma teaching? In Tibetan we say Che is a Dharma, and Che Sheva is preach that Dharma. In Hindi there's a little difference. So Dharma and Darshan. So Darshans is the word that is, combined, dished, the way of seeing, view, and darshans, and showing how to see things, how to view things. So that means, the one way of seeing things makes you or keep you in samsara. One way of seeing things liberate from samsara. So you see the liberations in the view, in the how you see things. There you can find the liberations. If within the way of seeing, you also stuck in samsara. So the teaching of how to the teaching of generating the wisdom eye or view that can see things as it is kind of here, I think, darshan or the Dharma teachings. So samsara and the liberation is samsara liberation is also, it just with existing of the samsara liberation is it's a kind of is the viewpoint. The viewpoint, one viewpoint makes you or keeps you in samsara, and that defines you in samsara, cyclic existence. One viewpoint that can start, set you free from samsara. So of the two, the existing in nirvana, cyclic existing in nirvana, neither is known to exist intrinsically. The both are not intrinsically exist. The full understanding of samsara is, when you fully understand samsara, and samsara is no longer samsara, you're only in the nirvana. You are liberated. So number 7, the naive imagine the cessation as the annihilations of originated beings, while the wise understand it as like a cessation of magical illusions. So therefore, individual who is seeking liberations, and you seek liberations, you have desire to attain the liberations, but you do not understand. You don't have the view. You don't have the view to see the dependent originations. Then your cessations, your liberation is nothing but imagination. The wise understand it. Wise understands the relativities, absence of intrinsic existence, and they find the liberation or the nirvana, cessation of suffering is nothing but magical illusions. So they see that both are magical illusions. So before, you are arhat, you trying to, catch the imagined magical illusions. Now you understand the interdependencies. You understand everything is magical illusions. There's nothing you can catch. You cannot touch, you cannot catch it. It's just there and it relatively exists. It's like you are entertained by these relativities. There's nothing to grasp, there's nothing to obsess to, There's no reason to obsess with anything. So they're free from attachment. Because they see the liberation in samsara is like magical illusion. If the cessations, so now here in the commentary, a little bit, a debate in there. So someone says, right now you are saying, one who do not seize interdependencies, their understanding of the nirvana is nothing but imaginations. One who understands the dependent originations, and they sees the nirvana is magical illusions. And then he says, do they see samsara as magical illusion? Yes, magical illusions. So they don't have any, wherever, with this body or without this body, their mind is always in the state of peace forever. With this body or without this body. With this house or without this house. With this planet or without this planet. So they both are, so magical illusions. Then the question here is, someone says, if the nirvana is magical illusions, in the sutra, when Buddha says, what is that thing that never deceives you? What is that thing that can deceive you? And answer to that is, there's the one thing that can never deceive you, means, the one thing that if you achieve, it never lies to you, is nirvana. And anything that achieve, the wealth, the fame, possessions, it is not reliable. There's no certainty that brings permanent state of peace. Once you attain nirvana, and this is the ultimate. So the one thing that has never deceived you in ultimate is nirvana. In Sutra this is. And then if you are saying that nirvana is magical illusions. Magical illusion is not the ultimate truth. It's not absolute. Because it is magical illusion, therefore it is lie. And why in the sutra there says something that is ultimate and never deceives you is nirvana. Then Chandrakirti says that it is ultimate, relative with, relative with conventional world. So it is beyond conventional world. Therefore, with word it used ultimate. It is not ultimate truth. Is ultimate with relation to the conventional knowledge, conventional understanding. It's beyond conventional, therefore it's ultimate. That does not mean that nirvana is ultimate truth. So then the question here is, why we are seeing emptiness is ultimate truth? Why is nirvana is not ultimate? So the emptiness is, emptiness is the emptiness is something that is beyond reach of the conceptual. Beyond reach of the conceptual, it just defined through mere absence of intrinsic. There is, in the meaning of in the nature of the emptiness, there is, there is no any imaginable, there's no any perceptible. It is just mere absence of intrinsic existing is emptiness. Nirvana has so many things. There is a person who has attained nirvana, right? Who is having a desire to attain nirvana. And nirvana has also meaning of you are free from cycle existence. Yes. So being free from cycle existing, getting out of samsara is all imagination. Because this is, what is nirvana? How you attain nirvana? If you understand the cycle existence as it is, and you will see the nirvana. Means nirvana right now, you can see it, you can experience it. So the nirvana is some kind of, terminology that contains so many meanings. Escape from, being free and, transcends from this suffering. So therefore it is it's kind of linguistically, constructed phenomena. It's not just mere absence of intrinsic existence. So it's not ultimate truth, it's magical illusions because it's created through letters and languages, like samsara, like relations. So that's why number 7 is imagine cessations as the annihilation of originated beings. So the imagined cessation from annihilation of originated beings. Origin, like what is the cessations? First, in the Four Noble Truths says, Buddha says, truth of suffering to understand, origin of suffering to abandon, that abandonment of origin of suffering is cessation. So this is why it's there linguistically, constructed, to imagine as it is. You have to, there are so many imaginations, so many characteristics in there. So number 8 now. Number 7 is done. Number 8, and now it's kind of discussions, discussing on the how the individual, what happened when individual attain nirvana. So then saying that, if one individual who attained nirvana, and then Siddhantika school and the Vaibhashika school, within the Buddhist school, many of those say things. The individual attained nirvana means he has to leave everything, everything that is the result of karma and afflictions. So which means he has to leave this life's body. With this body, you are not going to attain nirvana. So, and then he said, how do you bring this meaning? So how who said this? And then says, Siddhantika school says, Buddha himself. Buddha says, without having abandoning this particular condition of suffering, no attainment of nirvana. Right? And then says, what happened in nirvana? And there is in nirvana all the delusional mind or defects of the body, speech, and minds, everything disappears in emptiness, dissolve in emptiness, is cut the future, coming of the birth in the second existence. So this is how you individually attain nirvana. So Siddhantika school and the Vaibhashika school, now they understand, without abandoning this present condition of suffering, no nirvana. So you have to die in order to attain nirvana. And Chandrakirti and Nagarjuna, they're saying that, yes, nirvana is, if the nirvana is something that is through annihilation of the aggregates, if nirvana is attained through abandoning or leaving body, body and mind, so it's just you happen to attain nirvana just because you have abandoned the body, which means you haven't reached nirvana, or you haven't brought to nirvana not by wisdom. You have to be grateful the last breath you breathe. So that last breath is your path to nirvana, right? So the final breath that you breathe out, and no longer breathe in. So that is the condition that you are brought in nirvana. And so that means it's not nothing to do with, it's not directly brought you in the nirvana by the wisdom. And then Siddhantika school and Vaibhashika school both argue back to the Prasangika school, and then say, if this is not the way to attain nirvana, and you just tell me. So how do you interpret that line without abandoning this condition of suffering? So Buddha is pointing, this is the present time, which means this body, this aggregates of the physical body, this aggregates of the feeling, this aggregates of the perceptions, eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness, and then the body consciousness, mental consciousness, without abandoning them, then Nagarjuna Chandrakirti says, this abandoning means negating the intrinsic property of this particular aggregates of the body, aggregates of the feeling, aggregates of the perception, aggregates of the mental formation, aggregates of the thought. And what does that mean? It means, you don't have, when you use the language, my body, my feeling, my thought. For the ordinary people, they, it's all in a single unit. Feeling in single unit, and mental formations, perceptions, body in single unit. So because it counts and separately, it imagines and separately, and it is also, when you say my body, means you see the body that is a single unit from the feeling and perception, and it is the perfect basis for me to existing. So Arhat do not have this kind of thought. When they use the language my body, they don't have this kind of mental proliferations. So Buddha is saying, without emptying the intrinsic property of body, feeling, perceptions, you cannot attain Nirvana, because these are the conditions. My body, my feeling, my thought, my perceptions, something that is you are kind of attached to the body, attached to the feeling. You are almost kind of, grounded, objective you is grounded with feeling and perceptions. So as long as you have this kind of conceptualizations, you cannot attain Nirvana. So that is what mean in the sutra. So sutra does not mean, without having, living, without abandoning his body, you cannot attain Nirvana. And if this is the case, how can you explain? Buddha says, Shariputra has attained Nirvana. So while he's alive, he attained Nirvana. Mongolputra, Shariputra, there are many arhats. They all attain Nirvana. So Nirvana, and then another question comes, but still you consider this body is the result of karma and afflictions. Previous life karma, previous life delusions appropriate this body. So appropriate this body, therefore it is the condition of suffering. So you are not free from condition of suffering. Although your mind is free from delusions, this body is not free from condition of suffering. It is condition of suffering because it is the result that is conditioned by the karma and afflictions. Then it says, and generally you can use the word conditioned suffering to the body, but if you closely look to the body, Arhat's body, there is within Arhat's body each perception, each emotion, each perception, sense faculties, in everything is totally free, no influence, no impact from any afflictive emotions. By that you cannot really tell it is the condition of suffering. The condition of suffering is we understand something that is anything that is functioning under the force of karma and afflictions. There is Arhat's body has no influence, no force, no any impact, no not affected by afflictive emotions, delusions, the karma. So if you use is a condition of suffering, maybe it's like, you just, like Mongolputra, we say Mongolputra. And so his mother is a Mangala, So the son of the Mangala is Mongolputra. Shariputra's so mother is Shari, so his son is Shariputra, right? but that does not mean Shariputra is his mother, Moggulputra is his mother. So it's just named after the cause. In that way, you say this is the aggregates. It's just a name. There's a whole definitions is lost, with that basis. It just is, you just named it. Yeah, so like sometimes we say that people make it, differentiate iPhone made in China, iPhone made in India. So Apple company don't see the difference in the product. So but people say it, right? Oh, so it's made in India. Maybe not that good. So maybe the worse than that. Like Apple company was the main person. If he makes some kind of iPhone in his house, his room, maybe don't think it's not better than that. So this is like, yes, it's the aggregates named, it aggregates, the aggregates means it's named after the cause. Appropriated aggregates is named after the cause, So this is the, in the Prasangika school, Chandrakirti's and Nagarjuna's, tradition. So cessations, if cessation happened through the annihilations, not by fully understanding the creations, how would be there to experience it? Who would be there to experience it? If, Nirvana is attained through annihilations, annihilation of the aggregates, form and consciousness, and who would dare to experience Nirvana? If, So then another kind of the complicated thing is the arguments saying direct perceptions. So the Arahat, they directly experience the cessations, and then the way you define the cessation is, cessation is, within its absence of intrinsic existence. Now the two things, the cessation here is, when you say cessation of the cause of suffering, means freedom from afflictive emotions. And the cessation of the birth in second existence means the birth in second existing has cut. From now on, no birth. So no birth in the second existing is this just one of the cessation, and free from afflictive emotion is just the one under cessation. And then the Arahat who, how's there, meditatively experiencing the cessations. So there looks like there are many cessations there, So it's the end of the birth in second existence is no birth, no more birth in second existence. So that is not really is ultimate truth. This is not emptiness. And the end of cause of suffering, no cause of suffering, is also not that kind of subtle or profound, that you can say it is, it is the emptiness. This is not emptiness. So then the question here is how the Arhat, the individual, when they, directly experience, Nirvana. So what is what is they directly experience when they attain, nirvana. So then said, it is, you attain nirvana, you experience nirvana, it's almost like, for example, when you have so something that is, some color or some painting that you're trying to see from the distance. First something is not clear to you, and you put the glass a little bit clear, and you go closer and closer, or changing glasses, and clarity comes. So all the clarities comes in the seeing. Right? In the seeing, it comes to the mind. So, and actually from the beginning, you have no clarity, but you're seeing the right thing, right painting. So like, before you attain nirvana, you're still meditating on emptiness. Through that way, you see the possibility of nirvana. And again, you go deeper into the meditations and directly observing the emptiness and continuously meditate. And then within the emptiness, you find, sense of freedom. Now, if there's some kind of a conviction, some convincing that no longer my mind is with delusion, misconceptions, that you experience while you are in the meditation emptiness. Right? So this is, how you see the nirvana in there. So that does not mean emptiness is nirvana, right? Just simply by understanding emptiness, you attain nirvana. There's no. It's just emptiness that continues the seeing. Clarities become more clear and clear and clear. And your mind is more closer, almost inseparable in emptiness. Somehow you experience freedom. So that's you freedom found within the emptiness. Right. So now the question here is, that emptiness is Sotandika school, the Vavashika school, when they heard, when they hear this from the presentation from the Chandrakirti and Nagarjuna, and this is, so you are really saying that emptiness is direct experience, which means it's obvious, become obvious object to that particular concentration or the meditation or the wisdom. So they kind of a little bit, says, that is a little bit hard to digest that, because the Sotandika school in their traditions, we always, direct experience is with subject. We don't really use direct experience with object. Sotandika school, I can directly experience the taste, color, smell, but because direct experience means with my eye consciousness, direct experience, right? Color, sound, smell, eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose consciousness, direct experience, the central object. But if someone says it's color, it's direct experience, so we don't say it's direct experience, because there is no sensory experience in the color. Sensory experience in the consciousness, subject side. So, and then now this has become a little bit, sometimes the grammatical people, what is it called? The people who, professional or expert in grammar.
I'm not sure.
Grammist.
Linguistic.
Linguistic, oh yeah, linguistic people, yeah, good. Linguistic people come say, when we say, I cut the tree, the cut is the action. So that cut, being cut or cut. So the cut is what you cut. A cut is also the part of the, with what you cut it. With knife you cut. So the cut is the action that belongs to the both side. So the tree, the wood that you cut it, each piece is cut. Each piece, they don't cut by themselves, but still there is from the linguistic point of view, the cut is with what you cut, and eat is with what you eat. Experience with what you experience. Experience is not 100%, it's only in the part of the subject. So we call, in the Tibetan grammar is chasik the lessons. So Lama Tsongkhapa explained this very beautiful in his commentary. So chasik and lesik means, it's the activities, the action that is with activities, actions did with the object. So because cut is the actions, that action you can also see with the things that you have, you have cut by the knife. The cut is also belongs to the knife, which is cutting each of the trees. So the linguistic says this is kind of, that is totally absurd, saying that direct, when you directly experience the color is not direct experience, and eye consciousness is not only the direct experience. So the linguistic people say, Sutantaka school, you don't really understand the grammar. But still they argue, Sutantaka school and Ravashika school argue that, so direct, and especially when this is, so the one thing that is for sure for the direct experience, object is something, how's that? Object and intrinsic. So color is there by itself. So you can directly experience. And tree is there by itself. You can directly experience. The smell and taste and sound, all of them is affirmatively, it exists there to experience. And when it comes to the emptiness is just empty of intrinsic phenomena. There's no any imaginable object, any conceptual object, conceivable object. So how can you say that emptiness is directly experienced? This is the argument. But you can say that it's the direct experience because the subject, the consciousness that's experiencing the emptiness is free from thought, not conceptualizing. It is directly experienced, therefore it's a direct experience. But still says it's not really convincing. Emptiness is direct experience, is not really making sense at all. And then the Chandrakirti say that direct experience means, if you are thinking the emptiness is not, by itself has any, affirmative nature to experience, which means if you are thinking that, emptiness is not really, independent form, therefore you cannot direct experience. If this is what you're saying, we don't have any, we don't really claim anything, emptiness or conventional reality, none of those, has some kind of intrinsic property. It's a relatively exist. like east and west, short and tall. Everything is relatively exists. Nothing has ever exists, independent or intrinsically by itself. So emptiness too is when you experience, the emptiness that experience relatively. And then says, for example, Chandrakirti says, if one person who is trying to, trying to cross, the place that you wanted to go, and then there's a huge mirage. It looks like water, whole river there, and from the distance he sees there's a big river, and it must be very deep. So I'm afraid I can cross this river. Then he thought, well, there's someone there. I can ask him. And he asked the person how deep the river is. I'm afraid I cannot cross this river. So I have to be, get earlier in the village. So I can do that. And this person says, water? Where is the water? This is the mirage. There is no water. And if you don't believe my word, you just go closer to the place, and you will directly experience my word, no water. So now, no water, the word is saying no water, can be, directly experienced. So when he come closer to the place where he sees the water, and he finds it's just a mirage, there's no water at all. Then he says, it's true that he says there's no water. So he has directly experienced no water. He directly experienced the word, no water. So now this person, when he directly experienced no water, no water is not intrinsically there to experience. It's relative with the person's pointing, there is no water, and then he experienced as he says. He experienced as he says is true. That is the meaning of direct experience. So in the emptiness, you can see things, as it is. The object, the things do not exist intrinsically, and mind understand as it is direct experience. So the Chandrakirti says, a direct experience is not always with eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness. Your mind can also directly experience. And if about the independent, so none of those, even you are saying that things are direct experience, they are also not independent or intrinsic. And also I have mentioned that, like the space is direct experience, with relative, obstructive nature. With obstructive natures, at the end of that obstructive natures, and this person with obstructive form, he experienced space. If the person's, the subject which has no obstructive natures, no obstructive natures could not see the space, because there's no relatively space to him. Because the person himself has no obstructive natures, but he could not see this is the space, this is the, this is the obstructive, because nothing can obstruct him. So, the person and the bird, both, at the same time at the top of the mountain, and the edge of the mountain, the person, human being says, oh, I should not be, stepping on there. There's the cliff, there's the space. And the bird will say, oh, I should fly, Otherwise, I fall. Because they both have obstructive nature, so therefore, the end of the obstructive is obvious to them. Right? Absence of obstructive is become direct experience. If the bird and both are spirit, no form, and then says there is no space, I don't see any space. Right? So the relatively, like emptiness is also a relatively experience. There's no independent emptiness. Yeah, any questions now?
Geshe?
Yeah.
Okay, so we can say that direct experience, it is like direct awareness.
Yes, direct awareness is a direct experience.
Yeah, because experience sometimes it has a lot of connotations of the material world, more for the sensorial senses, for the perception, like more experience. It is the way I understand the term experience. It is more for the material world, inside and outside. So maybe for the perception, the direct experience of emptiness, of the absence of intrinsic nature, maybe it would be better to use better than experience awareness, to be aware of that absence, aware of that emptiness that has not those connotations that can be difficult to understand when we use the word experience, that you need a subject and object, more or less.
Now here it's saying that, through inference, you conclude, you constitute something through the logic and reasoning. There is no intrinsic property. So the first, through the inference, you kind of constitute the emptiness. Now this is purely in intellect. So intellect is informations that is correctly informed. Now this is what we don't call it a direct experience. So then you kind of what you have concluded, what you have conformed. This is the absence of intrinsic, and then continues the contemplating, familiarizing with that emptiness, and then the emptiness. The meaning of the emptiness is, eventually come to your mind without any, application of the logic and the reasoning, right? First you need logic and the reasonings, you need the calculations, to confirm this is absolute intrinsic existence. Then you more and deeper understanding, and then the clarity, the meaning of absence of intrinsic is become more obvious and more obvious. And then, somehow the mind is so convinced that, everywhere, which side it sees, is everything is empty. Right now when you kind of, for example, if you try to understand something, it's almost like there's two sides. So one, is kind of something judging on the meaning. Meaning and subject is two different things. The duality is there. And more you familiar, and you become one. So that's what I call direct experience. Direct experience of the emptiness. is a perfectly landed overlap, within the absence of intrinsic existence. Totally.
That is what we call intuition.
Yeah, you can call intuition. Yeah.
Intuition.
Yeah. The word intuition can be used. That direct experience. Yeah, sometimes the intuition also use some kind of work, something that dawn on you, something that aware from, subconsciously or, in some conditions that force you to feel something, this is the right. So some people, they use the intuition in that way, So now here, this intuition, you can call it intuition, is because without effort of applying any logic in the reasoning, the mind that is so comfortably or so convincingly, the merge with the truth. So that is the direct experience. So right now, when we think of emptiness, we have to, put a lot of effort or a lot of kind of, contemplations.
Yeah.
And then it's something that convinced to you for maybe a minute or a few seconds, and then it will kind of go away. Right. So that means, again, if you want the taste of that, again, you have to apply same effort to contemplate, and something that, strike on you or dawn on you, oh, this is emptiness. And then when you say, oh, the second breath is gone, so the meaning is gone. so that always comes very, very rarely, So now the direct experience is now you are inseparable with that meaning. So that, like milk and water become inseparable, mixed together. Your mind and emptiness, absence of intrinsic is, so kind of, integrated, right? So now this is why I'm saying that, this direct experience, once the individual have this some experience, in his mind, there is no imagination that constructed through the languages. Anything the language project, this person has no effect. They don't follow what language is, constructing, because they see it beyond the language. So right now, for us, I think most of the time we kind of, if we follow, we try to follow what the language is projecting, as it's projected, you kind of understand, you could imagine as the language project, people say, I understand. So this, I think mainly your guru is language now. so what the guru language has constructed, you follow, and then it says, oh, I understand. Now, the meaning is always remain beyond language projections. So that's why, so even sometimes like continuity is the language, continuity always project, the meaning, something, one entity that repeatedly happening for many times. This is how the language, if we ask the language to give me a, metaphor or imaginations. So then it is almost like Buddha Pandita says, people imagine the continuity in the sense like there's a person named Gupta. It's almost the Gupta is coming from his village. Now he's going back to the village. It's all about one Gupta. He came from there. Now he's going back. So we also think the continuity is coming from the past. That thing that coming from the past is now going to the future. So that is the misunderstanding of the continuity. But this is the language can project for you. And the relations, cause and effect relations, past and present relations. The word relations is, so the two cause and effect is related to each other. Related to each other's, what we see in the physical form, two persons, they are benefiting each other. Two persons, one that is dependent on other dependent on others. So in this way, if you imagine the relation of the cause and effect, that is totally misunderstanding. The past and the present never met, never have a contact. So how can they mutually relate to each other? In the substantial level, physical level, there is no such thing as relations. Milk and yogurt has no relation like that. But the language is, language has only, it can, give you or inform you the meaning in that picture. That picture is the wrong or the mistake. It is not accurate as it is. So this is, I think, so the beyond conceptual means something in absence of intrinsic existence is beyond the language, beyond the concept. So we are not simply, we are saying that if you are, satisfied what mind projects, in your thought, what language projects in your thought, what things that appears to the eye. If you are completely satisfied, this is as it is, then says, so there's nothing can really help you to liberate. Because you think everything is correct. There's no need to fix in anything. So then there's no point to finding the path to liberations. So if you understand, there's something I can improve, even the understanding of the color, understanding of the sound, the smell, the taste, it's never true as it appears to my mind. Then you want to know more, you want to dig more into the reality. So then something that comes that beyond, understanding of the languages and thought. Sometimes we use the continuations or continua, is sometimes language projects that it's something that is happening many times, something that happening many times. So we also see the continuing of car on the freeway. So the says, there's also continuing. And people coming to the hospital, they maybe line up, there's continuing people. So the language has no, language do not really understand It's all you can see is the picture of the imaginations. Our life, the continuing, your habit, the continuing, is not like a person lined up, or the car that, how's that, driving or kind of moving on the freeway. So all the independent cars moving. So if there's the person, the language is in the real person, then we say, you misguide us. You should dismiss. So I think the arhat, once they reach that state of liberation, they can really dismiss the language. Say, just keep quiet. So I know better than you. So are not arhat, and we have to rely on the language to say. What language says, how do you use the language? Yeah, any other questions? No questions? Okay then. Sanju Semjo Rinpoche, Majeba, Jesusi, Jeva Nyamba, Meva, Kone Kondo, Peverso, Ponye Tawa Rinpoche, Majeba, Jesusi, Jeva Nyamba, Meva, Kone Kondo, Peverso, Pama Simjan Tanjin, Dada Denjusi, Nidrotam, Tato Toma, Sanju Sembo Kanda Sushu, Tada Gunji, Molam Dubjuris, Karera Rubu, Shiva, Panda de Woma, Nujo, Jerezo, Tinzi Yasu, Shabe, Sideba,
May the precious body mind, not yet born, arise and grow. May the bone have no decline, but increase forevermore. May the precious mind, realizing emptiness, not yet born, arise and grow. May the bone have no decline, but increase forevermore. Due to all these merits, may all father and mother sentient beings have all the happiness, and may all lower realms be empty forever. Wherever there are bodhisattvas, may all their prayers be accomplished immediately. In the sacred land surrounded by snow mountains, you are the source of all benefit and happiness, O powerful Tenzin Gyatso. Remain in this world until Samsara ends.
Thank you very much.